Split. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are just getting set up. Thank you for those of you who are here early this morning. Just a quick note as you're getting settled in, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab something to write with. But you will not be seeing your face on the screen, so don't be alarmed if you don't see a little square of yourself. This is webinar style, so it's all focused on the content that will be presented today. But if you've never used SQL before, which is our webinar platform, it just looks a little different than Zoom. So I like to give everybody a heads up. We'll give it just another 30 seconds or so as we are waiting for, we had almost 100 people sign up for this. So we've got a lot of people that should be arriving over the next, hopefully, minute or so. Yeah. Actually, as we're settling in, if you don't mind, everyone that's in here, can you please, good morning, Beth, pop into the chat. So the chat's on the right side of the screen. And if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and your studio name and where you are joining us from today, that would be great.
I'd love to know what modalities or services you offer as well, if that's not obvious by the name of your
Okay.
brand. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. That's going to help with the conversation a lot. So if you're doing lots of different types of classes or sessions in your business, let us know. Or if it's just straightforward Pilates or straightforward strength training, yes. Okay, welcome, welcome. Hi, Kate, Chantel. For those of you just joining us right now, please pop into the chat and introduce yourself, where you're coming from, and what modality, your studio name that you're joining us from.
Information yoga, awesome.
Oh yeah, hi Monica.
One-on-one small group training, nutrition recovery.
Okay, amazing.
Raleigh.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, we were just talking yesterday about how we have so many Walla clients in the Raleigh-Durham area. I didn't realize how concentrated it was, but also there are so many fitness businesses in that part of the world. Like I popped into our CRM to see, and we have there are 200 within that little nook. So you're in a seems like a very healthy area. Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Pennsylvania.
Cool. You're coming from all over the place. All right. Well, we will get started without further ado. Welcome to our monthly Walla webinar series. My name is Laura, and I'm one of the founders here at Walla, and we are very, very excited to have Shay Kastavi here with us today. She is with Fitness Career Mastery, and she and her husband, Barry, have a really amazing offering that they put together, and expertise that they kind of work together to bring to studios. And what I love about it is you guys are kind of the bookends, or the end caps, I think you said, of when we're looking at the studio business and the client journey. And for those of you that joined us earlier, I believe it was in June, Barry did a webinar for us on essentially really mastering your brand languaging and attracting people into your business. So how do you fill your classes? How do you get people coming in the door? And Shay is going to talk to us today about really fulfilling those promises that you talk about on your website and in your marketing, and really engaging your instructors, your staff, and your whole team to be a part of that, and retaining those individuals so we can retain the clients long term. For those of you that want to go back and watch that one, the prior one, it is on our website under hellowalla.com webinars. You can watch any of our old webinar series there. Quick housekeeping as we go through the webinar today. You can pop in and ask questions at any time. You don't have to hold them till the end. I think it often helps with the conversation and makes it a little bit more engaging if we know real time what you're going through in your business and how we can apply those questions to the content that Shay is providing. But I'll be kind of intercepting them in the chat and then passing them along. And lastly, before we get started, I wanted to give a quick heads up. We are actually going to be doing 2 different webinars over the next month. So slightly outside of our normal webinar series, but focused around essentially our marketing suite and our new lead management tracker in Walla. So we have one of our marketing consultants who is just an expert in Facebook advertising and meta advertising is going to be working with me to do a webinar on positioning your meta ads, setting it up in Walla, and then how you track all of the leads coming in and set up your automations to communicate with them. And then we'll do another one on best practices with the lead tracker, how you can design your pipeline to follow your leads and new clients into the studio. So we'll be announcing those very, very soon. I believe one of them is very end of this month and the other is at the middle of October. So keep your eyes out. Okay, without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Shay, who is going to be guiding us through today. Shay, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm so grateful to be here this morning. I love how there's like connections happening in the chat already. People are like, I'm going to be in your town. You should come. That's so cool. What a great community. So as Laura said, my husband and I are the co-founders of Fitness Career Mastery. We like to say Barry helps you get them in the door and I help you keep them there. So today we're really focusing, what I'm going to focus on, I'm going to give you a little slide here, is mastering the client experience. I'm going to talk about systems to boost instructor and client retention. And just something to keep in mind here, like if you're really, really good at this, I invite you to come in with a beginner's mind. I invite you to contribute to the conversation in the chat. And I want you to feel validated by the amazing effort that you're putting into your team, into your clients, into your brand and your business. And if I'm talking about stuff that like you haven't even thought about or you're scared to think about or like you're maybe not so good at, then that's exactly why you're here. And I hope that today you walk away with a fresh perspective, maybe some new ideas and take action on something that you hear today, whether this is something you feel like you've gotten the bag or something that you feel like you're struggling with. Cool. So I want to start by just sharing a little story. So imagine that you walk into a Nike store. Everybody knows what a Nike store is like, right? You have certain expectations of what you're going to see and how you're going to feel, and probably an expectation of what you desire to walk out of the store with. But when you walk in the door, let's just say you walk in the door and you're like, there's like Adidas over there and there's like some Reeboks and over in the corner there's some Chucks and there's definitely Nikes, but then there's like some other shoes. Like I don't really know what those are, what those have to do with Nike. And you might look around and check the signage or even like go to your GPS and be like, am I confused? Like, am I at the Nike shop or am I in a shoe palace? And there's nothing wrong with shoe palace, but you came to Nike expecting Nike. But what you get is a seemingly random assortment of options. And that inconsistency fractures the brand image, causes confusion. Sometimes it causes decision overwhelm. And most importantly, it keeps you from getting immersed in the experience and the pleasure of shopping. And so now there's a deficit in the trust bank account of your relationship with the Nike brand. Why does this matter? And why am I here? Because in my experience, this is actually a really common scenario in many smaller group fitness studios today. I'm going to use reformer Pilates as an example because it's hot right now. And a lot of my clients are reformer Pilates studios at this particular time. But depending on the instructor, the class experience within the studio can vary wildly, and not just because of their personality or their point of view, but some instructors will adhere to a more classical structure. Others will have a more modern methodology or modern take on it. Some classes are slow and focused. Others are fast-paced and extremely challenging. Some are driven by carefully selected music that the playlist matches the programming. And some instructors are literally playing Spotify radio on shuffle in the background. And while variety is so great and so important, the inconsistency in the quality and the expectations of the experience starts to confuse clients and fractures trust with the brand, because even with like carefully crafted class descriptions. And even if all of the classes are relatively good, they never know what kind of experience they're going to get. And when clients don't know what they're going to get, they stop coming back. If you've experienced this before somewhere in like the service industry or in the fitness industry, or like maybe at a restaurant, at a coffee shop, like drop me, I know what this feels like in the chat, because I definitely have experienced this everywhere. I just went back to a place the other day that I was so stoked about. I got the same exact thing that I got last time. And I was like, this is not what I was hoping for. I'm probably not going to go back, right? So you don't want your studio to be like that. So if you think about it this way, Nike offers many different styles of shoes. There's a lot of variety in a Nike shop. And while each style has a specific purpose and personality, they all still feel like Nike. There's something uniform about their design, about the quality, about the comfort, about the expectation of having a Nike product. And it's that consistency that makes Nike a strong, predictable brand that is still capable of surprise and delight for their customer. You want the same to be true for your studio. You want people to know. So as Laura was saying, like Barry and I are the end caps of your business. So like if you're marketing one thing and you pull them into the studio, you want to be able to deliver on that promise. So if you're marketing yourself as a Nike, you need to be Nike when you walk in the door. If you're marketing yourself as a Shoe Palace, that's totally fine, but that's like a whole different ballgame. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you can still surprise and delight your clients. You can still have variety while having that through line that connects to your core brand. Each instructor can be a completely different style of shoe with their own unique flair, but there has to be that common thread that connects all of them to the core of your brand and your mission and your vision for how you'd like to serve your community. And that uniformity is what builds trust and keeps clients coming back. Yes, in yoga. Yes, I'm so glad somebody said that, because I have an example a little bit later. I find this to be true in yoga, and it's so tough because every yoga practitioner, they're on their own journey, right? And they've studied a philosophy at one place and the asana in another place, and they have their gurus and their mentors, and there's so many different styles and arms of yoga, and we don't ever want to like infringe upon that instructor's like philosophy and point of view and their creativity. But it's a hard sell when everybody in there when you're a Shoe Palace and you've got all of these different offers. Like if you think about somebody coming across your website who's never taken yoga before, how do they make a decision? Or if they come in and they take one class and they go to another class, they're like, whoa, that was wildly different. I'm going to have to spend months trying on all these different shoes before I find which one is the right fit for me. So I want to talk about how you can help those people out. I like to call why am I, who am I to talk about these things? Well, I like to call myself your experience design. Oops, I took that out. I like to call myself your experience design coach, but really, I'm a retention expert. And for over 10 years, I've been working with fitness business owners like you all over the world, like in 15 countries, building and refining branded class experiences, streamlining systems and operations for recruiting, training, and developing a rockstar instructor team that elevates your brand, serves your community, and helps you grow your business. My background is in performing arts. I've worked professionally as a dancer, choreographer, an actor, a producer for both TV, film, and live events. I have lived many, many lives, and it's okay if you tell me that it doesn't look like I've lived that long, I'll take it. I've also been an international instructor and master trainer for almost 15 years. I specialize in indoor cycling, bar, and HIIT programs, mostly things that are driven by music. One of my gifts is being able to see how something can be improved. I just have a knack for it. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, ooh, I see that there. We can tie those two things together and then it can be like this. And something that I'm deeply passionate about and that I practice every single day is leaving people and places better than I found them. A lot of times people think that I work at the places that I visit because I'm like cleaning countertops or like folding stuff or pointing people in the right direction. But my superpower lies in pulling all the pieces together to create an immersive experience that people can get swept up in and cannot wait to come back to. And a huge, huge piece of that, whether it's a play or a dance performance, a pop-up event, a commercial, or a fitness class, is the people. You have to know who you're looking for, and you have to know where to find them, how to find them, and how to draw them in, and how to train them and lead them to excellence. So I'm somebody that takes creative ideas and concepts, and then I create systems around them so that they can be successfully executed, replicated, and scaled without feeling like you're running a cookie cutter operation.
Yeah.
That sound cool?
Yeah, I think, guys, one of the reasons I was so excited about Shay coming on is when we think about the landscape of fitness, you guys all squarely fit into a category called boutique fitness, right? And boutique fitness is expensive, and it is a more premium service than what a lot of other fitness offerings have. And a huge reason people are willing to pay more for what you do is the experience.
Yes.
And curating that experience, making that repeatable and making it something people feel confident in is what makes the boutique fitness studio successful, period. So
premium,
yes,
specialized experience.
Yep.
Like those bespoke, like those are the things that we associate with boutique. Like you're not a big box gym. You're never going to be a big box gym. Even if you have multiple modalities under one roof, like you specialize in each of those. And so I saw somebody has like yoga, cycling, Pilates. Like we have to have like a common denominator. We have to have a common thread that runs through each one of those modalities. And each instructor needs to be on the same mission so that when we walk in there, we know what to expect. Yeah, I love that you said that. I've worked for like really, really big brands, both in the US and China, that have multiple locations. In the US, 2 formats, in China, 6. Right. And I was the lead trainer in China in particular, hundreds. We had a staff of 150 people at one location, and many, many, many instructors teaching many different things. And each one of them had to go through a very similar training process, regardless of what class that they were teaching, to make sure that when you walked into that studio, you knew that you were walking into space. I have a question before I go on. Who here considers themselves like purely an owner operator? So you are an entrepreneur, you are the owner of your business. You don't necessarily, I'm trying to give you a slide, but it's not working for me right now. Hold on. You don't need it. Who here is strictly the owner operator? You're not a fitness professional or certified. Me. Okay. Oh, Shay, we're going to be besties. Cool. I need more of those. Me. Okay, cool. And then how many of you are like instructor owners? So you've mastered your modality, or you've created your own method or your concept, and you now have your own space. Anybody?
I think we're probably a healthy split of both of those things. Some are removed from teaching. Some are definitely still in the studio, owning and operating, but teaching also.
I guess I should have asked, because now everybody says me. Let's try this again. So if write in the chat if you're an owner, operator, or whatever the title, entrepreneur, or you can say instructor owner, and that'll like help me get an idea. There you go. Instructor owner for 25 years. Congratulations. That's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, we want to know your secrets. I hope you stick around. You can talk at the end. Actually, that's a great question. Just drop it in there. Like, what are some of the things that you attribute to your success and longevity in this industry? Because 25 years in the fitness industry is like a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. Studio manager. Okay, cool. Keep them coming. Yeah. Okay, so no matter which one you are, let me get to like a slide that matters. Okay. No matter which one you are, I know that you cannot do this thing forever on your own. And you know that you cannot do this like flying by the seat of your pants. And yet, 100% of my clients are people who are like, I'm doing everything on my own and I'm flying by the seat of my pants. That's why they come to me. If you are an instructor owner, you can't teach all of the classes. You can't clone yourself, unfortunately, and you are never going to find someone who teaches like you. I like hear, who is it? Kendrick Lamar. They not like us. Like you are different than the average instructor. If you weren't, you wouldn't be running your own business today. You have to be able to get everything out of your brain that makes you you and successfully train a team of people to be just as amazing as you are and in their own way and execute your vision. That is a tall order. It's really hard. And if you're like, yes, I feel that, then you can drop, yeah, I feel that in the chat, because I know I've worked with so many of you. Like, I'm teaching all the classes. Nobody else wants to come to any of the other instructors' classes. I have no idea how to train another instructor. I trained them, but they're not doing what I asked them to do. Oh, I just hired them because they're so great. And they've actually been teaching for 20 years. And I've been teaching for 6 years, but you're the CEO, you're the boss. And I'm just letting them teach what they want because like, I don't want to feel pushy, because the whole reason that you started a business was because you wanted to do your own thing. And somehow you think that everybody else wants to do their own thing, but that's not true. Or if you're a business owner, you absolutely cannot hang your hat on a few, or worst case scenario, 1-star performer, nor can you hire a bunch of certified. I say that in air quotes because it doesn't matter sometimes. It matters. Everybody needs to be certified, but that's not what makes the instructor. And let them do whatever they want. If you leave it all up to them, they'll create the experience that they want to see. And while it might be like really, really good, it might not be right for you or your clients or your brand, right? And tell me if you've been in these shoes, like maybe back when you started, or you might still be here today, where you're like, okay, I've opened the studio. You're the owner operator. You don't teach the class. You need somebody to be the leader. And so maybe you go to like your favorite instructor at another studio and you offer them this amazing position, or you look for somebody that you know, maybe it's your trainer or somebody that you know, and you say, hey, you're certified, you have experience doing this. I need you to teach these classes and lead the team. And then they come in and they start doing their own thing. And then you start getting some other people and you go, hold on, this person isn't teaching the experience that I was hoping for anymore. Like, it's great, but like, I can't get anybody else to do that. So if you've felt that before, you can drop that in the chat. It's pretty quiet. So maybe you guys are like, you know what's going on. I have another question for you. How many of you have a team of 5 or more?
Yeah, just thumbs up.
You can drop the number.
Or the number, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great. Me. Okay, so my question to you as you come in, 10, great. As these come in, close to 20, incredible, 14, awesome. How many of you that have, hi Mercedes, how many of you conduct your own signature in-house staff and instructor training? Say, I do, if you do, and we've got some thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then I want to hear you say like, oh, I've never done that, or I haven't done that yet. Maybe not yet should be.
The power of yet. I
haven't done it yet. Great. Yes. I know Mercedes does. Mercedes is in our Fit Karma universe.
Okay.
Hallie, I haven't done that yet. Okay, cool. All right. So as we get into this, again, I invite you at the end of the chat, for those of you who've been in business for a really long time, those of you who have done this, I invite you to the table. Please share in this conversation so that we can help some of these other people who haven't done it yet, because it can feel really overwhelming and it can be really scary and it is time consuming, right? So this is why I create systems for it, because you as a business owner, you wear 10,000 hats every single day, and you need to be able to sit in your CEO seat, and you need to be able to direct people to do the thing that they need to do. And what I'm going to talk about is a way to help you do that. So here are some of the pitfalls that you run into when you don't have a playbook or systems to successfully recruit and train your team. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Or if I put it more bluntly, marketing yourself like Nike, but you're operating like a shoe palace where anybody's shoes are for sale. The first one, is factions of your clientele become attached and loyal to one instructor and their style and how they teach. And they're typically unwilling to try other people's classes when that instructor subs out. And so you see a huge drop in numbers when they aren't there because your clients are unwilling to give anyone else a chance. Has anybody ever experienced this in the past or present? This is happening for me now as a client. I just moved. I moved into Costa Mesa, Orange County, California, and I've been looking for like my home studio. I'm on ClassPass right now. I'm looking around, and I found a place that I really, really love. And I tried a couple of people, and I will only go to one person's class. And it's a bummer because it's a very inconvenient time for me. But I love my group fitness, and I love that instructor, and I love the studio. But they're only going to see me twice a week ever. I'm never coming more than that. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And like you, that's not a good place to be in. Okay. Typically this, okay. Yeah. Yes. Typically this creates a secondary problem where one instructor rises to the top to become a star performer. And this person has a unique combination of natural and acquired skills and gifts, a magnetic personality, and probably a primetime spot on the schedule. Sometimes an entire brand was built around this person's personality, their popularity, or their training methods, or all three. It's very challenging to get an entire team to perform at that level. And that star player rarely wants to share their secrets. And if they do, they're often not equipped to train other people to teach like them. Why? Because they're busy doing what they do best, which is being the star.
Yeah.
Right. I've been at the studio where the entire brand was built around the star performer, and there was no training up to like how that person teaches the class or what the expectations of our class experience should be like what makes you successful. You're just like, hey, you're good, get on the floor. And I know I'm a good instructor because I've been the lead for like national companies before, but I am like drowning at this place because I can't be like the star performer and nobody's telling me how to be successful at that place. And so I pour all of my heart and soul into this class, and I'm throwing stuff at the wall, and I'm restructuring my programming, and I'm like hopping up and down coming to my class, but like nothing's going to happen for me because everybody's decided that this is the person, and there's no pathway to get up to that level. Right. And then I've been on the flip side where I've been the lead, and typically if I'm the lead at a studio, I'm also training everybody. I'm like a unicorn. There's not a lot of people who can do both. It doesn't happen. But sometimes I haven't been, I take a job somewhere and I'm like, I'm just here to teach, and I become the popular instructor and my classes are sold out and waitlisted. And one of two things happens in my shoes. Owner comes to me and says, can you help me with the rest of my team? And I say, yes, because that's actually the thing I'm most passionate about. Love teaching classes, but like I'm better at making other people better. And sometimes I don't get that opportunity. And I've been at many studios where they shut down within 2 to 3 years. And like, now I have to go find a new home. So this is a very, very common problem. Or my clients come to me and they're like, I have this one person and they're so popular and it's not working for me. I don't know what to do. This person ends up having you as the owner in their pocket, and they can become demanding. They can start calling the shots because they know they're making payroll for everybody else. And they're typically resistant to critique, feedback, and change. It's like they've been running their own show since day one and you let them do it. And they're crushing it. So why would they do anything differently? Right? It's a very common problem. It's like a major bummer for me. I've had people call me up and say, could you help me fire this person? I'm like, no, I'm not George Clooney from that movie whose title I can't remember. I am not coming in to do that for you. I'll coach you through it. I'll coach you what to say, but don't make me do it. But typically this leads to a third problem, which is a high churn rate of instructors and or clients, sometimes both. So the team becomes divided and depleted. There's unnecessary pressure placed on the star player to carry the load, or on the team to rise to impossible standards. Some of your instructors begin to wonder, like, why certain team members seem to get special privileges. They struggle to level up and meet KPIs, but without clear direction and guidance, they don't feel supported, seen, and valued. And therefore, they start to feel competitive, resentful, because they're feeling unsuccessful, so they leave. But if for some reason the star performer takes off, then you're left with these impossible shoes to fill, and will probably lose a good percentage of what you thought were loyal clientele. So if you have a high churn rate of instructors, you can expect a high churn rate of clients. And the obvious reason is the inconsistent quality and brand experience. Has anybody seen this? I'm getting 100%. Yes, yes. Have you seen this? Have you felt this? Are you in these shoes? Right? Let me know in the chat. Your clients have really big goals, dreams, and desires. And whether it's a physical transformation, mental health, or simply feeling like they belong to something somewhere. And they have very high expectations of how you're going to help them reach those goals, particularly if you're boutique, as we just talked about. It's a premium experience. It's your responsibility to help hold them accountable to those goals and desires. And you cannot do that if they don't know what to expect, right? When there's no leadership, when there's no clear shared vision, every instructor is then left to their own devices. They're all on their own mission statement, and they're all trying to create an experience to the best of their own abilities and with the training philosophy and experience that they've gleaned outside of your brand, right? Just because somebody knows how to make coffee doesn't mean that Starbucks is going to let them make coffee at their store. You have to go through Starbucks training, even if you're like a world-class barista somewhere else. You have to make it the way that they do it there because their customers have expectations of the experience that they're going to have. P.S. Your metrics, right, that you get like on the back end of Walla aren't going to make that much sense to you, right? I'm going to tell you why in a second. So what happens when we miss this mark? Typically the instructor with the strongest mission, personality, and skills is running the show. Everyone else is scrambling, but nobody is winning. And as the business owner and leader, you're met with a lot of resistance to change, right? And fitness is about evolution and growth and betterment and self-empowerment. And so that starts from the top, right? If you want your team to instill that in your clients and actually get results and make an impact, then we have to lead by example and foster a community where we are committed to excellence in service and growth in our skills and our capabilities. So what's the fix? There's like 3 factors of success here. The first one is attracting, onboarding, and retaining top-tier talent. And by top-tier talent, I do not mean the person with the most experience, the most certifications, the most followers on Instagram, or the biggest personality. That's stereotypical fitness instructor. I mean, people who are the right fit for your brand. They have shared values. They have a common point of view. You have a common point of view. They have qualities that you respect and admire, and vice versa. They're open to learning. They're committed to service, excellence, growth, and all in the way that's right for your business, for your brand, and for your clientele. So that's step 1, is really knowing how to attract, onboard, and retain top talent. Is anybody struggling with like getting new instructors right now? I know it can be hard. I hear all kinds of things. Gen Z doesn't want to work. Then some seasoned instructors are like not super open to change sometimes.
Right. We actually did a webinar last month around this topic, like the challenge around staffing. So if you haven't watched that, check that out from last month, because it is probably one of the things we hear the most.
What are some of the insights that came out of that? I'm curious for you.
Yeah, I mean, part of it was you don't have to look to only the traditional places to find instructors. It's not necessarily just scouting from your competitors or just posting something online. One of the big takeaways was your clients can be some of your best teachers, and that's going to feed into probably what you talk about, which is training. Like, you get to mold them. Then they were attracted to your brand, your values, your modality. So that was one thing that was discussed. But then also there is a younger, hungry generation of people that really are attracted to our industry that we can capture early and really develop them. But a big part of it is giving growth patterns for them. And it doesn't mean we have to have 10 levels, like you become a junior manager and then a manager, and that's not it.
Yeah.
It's educational opportunities. I don't know. It's a really great webinar. I can't summarize it all.
Oh my good. I'd love to check it out. Like,
yeah.
Having a career path. What is the path to mastery?
Mm-hmm.
What is the path to success? True or false in the chat? It's easier to train somebody from scratch than to train somebody with years of experience. There's kind of like some caveats on both sides.
I know.
From scratch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have trained thousands of instructors in multiple countries in multiple languages. And I will tell you that training somebody up from scratch, like to teach a cycle class who's never even seen an indoor cycle bike before, comes with its own challenges. It's hard work. It's really hard work. But I personally find it much easier, as you said, Laura, to mold somebody that has all of the right qualities that you're looking for that suit your brand than to train somebody out of their previous sort of like inculcation, like wherever they came from. And one of the hardest people to train, I'll say, I'll use cycling because that's my primary. I'm a master trainer for indoor cycling, rhythm ride. Getting somebody who's taught Les Mills to not teach like a Les Mills instructor is literally the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life. And kudos to Les Mills. Yeah. They train that instructor up so hard that they are they are masters, but they can't teach anything else. And it's just trying to undo that and teach them a new way is much more challenging. So if you're, I see people that are recruiting in-house members to get over that hurdle. Yes, there are their own challenges. Sometimes it takes longer, right? They need more mentorship. So how do you, thinking about this first thing, like how do you create that mentorship in a way that feels easy, that's not taking more time and energy off of your plate, right? We can like workshop some of these ideas at the end of the call. So like put your thinking hat on. If somebody has done something really cool, I'd love to hear it in the chat, because there's ways to go about it where like you're not actually sitting in the studio with these people for like 20, 30, 40, 50 hours before they can get up on the podium or up on their mat, wherever it is. Okay, the second thing, boop-a-doo, is structured training and continued strategic development, as Laura just mentioned, right? Like, what's the pathway? A formalized signature in-house training that helps your team execute your brand mission and vision and deliver the highest quality customer service and experience possible so that clients stick around for a long time. You have a thriving business, you're making an impact on people's lives and the community at large. You become known for your reputation and the quality of your service. And this starts with in-house training. You cannot, I'm going to make a really bold statement. You absolutely cannot just let a certified instructor has a number of years of experience and a great personality into your studio and put them in front of your people without telling them how you do things here. Like, you can't. There's no other successful brand on the planet that would allow that to happen. Good example. I worked for Intercontinental Hotels, and the gym was managed by a separate company. And that company's philosophy was, because they served like the high-end, like luxury, like resorts, their philosophy was, we go for the highest training possible. So if we're at a newer hotel that does not have what we believe, if their training is not stronger than ours, you go through our training. But Intercontinental had higher quality training than the company that was managing the gym. And so I had to go through the Intercontinental training. It was 4 days sitting in like a conference room. And I was so upset because I was hired to teach my own class that I had designed. And I was like, why do I need to learn about the history of Intercontinental and like what the structure is built out of and what materials they use? I'm going to tell you, it was like the best 4 days of my life. I have never felt more loyalty to a brand ever to this day. And I only worked there for 1 year. It was a very short time before I moved out of LA. I wanted to launch a class that I had created, and I was looking for these like sort of luxury resort places to teach it at. And so this is why I wanted to be there. And I learned so much from that experience. But every single one of us, all of the trainers there were like, I don't really want to sit at this hospitality thing and talk about towels. But you know, when I walked into the doors of the Intercontinental, I could not be more proud. I could tell you what that building's made out of. I could tell you like everything, you know, like everything, like to the history. And that feels good. It feels really good to have that clarity, and it bonds the team. And so even when you're passing like the you know, some maintenance person or front doorman or whatever, it's like you lock eyes, you're like, we have a mission to accomplish here, right? Important people are staying in this hotel, and we want to make everybody feel like a superstar. And like, that just feels really good. Yeah. So you want to do that. Even if it's one day, it doesn't have to be months and months and months. It can be, I've done trainings that are 2 days, 2 weekends, 2 months, 30 days. Like, it's whatever's right for you and your brand. And like, however long it takes you to communicate your mission, your vision, your philosophy, who you serve and how you serve them, what we do here, what we don't do here. And then what are those, you have to set those, what are the markers for success? And like, what are the things that we need to see in every single client interaction, in every single offer that we have, whether it's a Pilates or red light therapy or whatever it is that you have there. And when everybody's on the same page, everything just gets like so much stronger.
Yeah, something that I often hear studios say is, you know, we did that. We created our mission and we put it on the wall and we have that in our training. But there's not a tie to it. People read it and it just is kind of in one ear and out the other. And so I am curious what you would say helps people or helps the studio really make that land with their employees.
Yeah, with the mission.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things. So if you didn't attend Barry's webinar, I would do that. The more clear that you are on your brand strategy and like your messaging and your mission and your purpose, and the better that you can communicate to that to your team, then they're going to be able to execute that. So things like questions that we ask, like, what is your origin story? Why did you start this business? What brought you into fitness? Asking your team to recall what made them become an instructor, So you do these things at the beginning. So these are questions to ask. It's like, it helps them get to know each other. And you find that like, there's so many reasons to start a movement practice or to like get into fitness. But there's usually, you'll see when you attract the right people, there's something in common with every single one of them. Another thing to do through training is to do like games and exercises that serve the purpose of like both being an icebreaker, but also like inculcating them. So like you're driving them to make these choices and make it feel like, oh, I came up with that, right? Like, that's what oh my gosh, this is amazing. That's what I believe. I'm in the right place. So it's not just saying like, you have to do it this way, right? It's best if it comes in like through play, through experience, through sharing. So like those types of things matter. But if you've never, so I want to hear like how many, I did Barry's brand strategy. And it was a game changer for my studio. Yes, Hallie, I know. She's also in the Fit Karma universe. What did I want to say? Question. How many of you have actually sat down with your entire team, staff, instructors, crew, anybody, either front desk, and told them like who you are and what you're all about and why the studio exists and what you hope to accomplish in the future together, who your client is, why that's your client, how you help them solve a problem, how you help them live a better life? How many of you have done that? It's either me or not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yes.
It's been a while. Yes, more or less. Great. Not yet. Good. I love Monica. I've been loving your answers. How do you structure this as you formulate? I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit. Yes, I have done this. If you haven't done it in a long time, there's absolutely no reason not to hold a little team meeting, make it fun, buy them lunch and say, hey, I just want to like do like a brand refresh and like kind of let's touch base, right? And there's like a series, ask a series of questions and like really get them involved, ask for their feedback. What are you seeing? Do you feel, okay, if this is our mission, do you feel like we're living up to our mission? Like, where are the gaps? What are you seeing? How can we better? Anybody have any ideas? Okay, well, here's my new idea, right? And you get them to play ball with you. You're not just like batting at them the whole time. Yeah, some of that. If it's hard to get every single person in the room together because you've got 20 plus people, everybody's on a different schedule, or maybe you've got a bunch of independent contractors or whatever, or like you don't want to pay them to show up. That's not your budget right now. I get it. I understand everybody's in a different place. Just shoot out a newsletter, shoot out a group text. Hey, like get them on a group chat, or does Walla have the ability? Can you communicate to your instructor team through
it doesn't have like an internal chat feature now.
But there are some apps and things that you can use, like not Slack. There are some things that are designed for the fitness community where you can like stay in touch with your instructors if you don't want to do a group chat. I can't do a group chat. It makes me itch. But if you send me to a place where we talk together, I'll show up. But you can just say, hey, I just want to touch base on this, right? Share your ideas. And just like keep bringing them in. We just had a client call the other day where our client is really there. She's working with Barry right now, and she's working on her nurture sequences in her emails, and she puts out a weekly newsletter. And she's like trying to reintroduce, she's just done a whole brand overhaul, and she's trying to reintroduce the philosophy and the point of view and what they're all about. And we're trying to come up with creative ways to get everybody on her team on the same page. And I said, well, can you send the newsletter? Can you make sure that your instructors are on the newsletter, or can you have a newsletter solely for your instructors? I've done this in the past, an instructor newsletter that comes out like bi-monthly, and like give them like, hey, this is a piece of our brand messaging, and this is what we want to focus on for the week or the month. Could you think about ways to incorporate that into your coaching? Or when you think about your programming, is there like, it's a yoga studio, so it's like, is there an asana or something that you can use to illustrate this concept or this idea? So there's like little, there's like low hanging, like easy ways to do it. And then there's like the higher, more structured ways to do it. But the most important thing is that you ideally begin with a structured, formalized in-house training that everybody goes through regardless of the years of experience. And now what you've done is you've laid the foundation for like, this is what we do here. And you have a continued strategic development over time, whether that's virtually or in person, whether it's through workshops and training or like just through communication. Make sense? There's lots of ways to do it. Okay, the third, we're coming up on like the tail end here. The third is leadership and mentorship. So making sure that you as the owner, instructor owner, operator, entrepreneur, maybe studio manager, you have the tools to easily and effectively stay dedicated to elevating and inspiring your team year after year. So they have a reason to stick around because they feel both supported and challenged. These are two things that are necessary to retaining your team. They need to feel supported, they need to feel seen, but they also must be challenged. If they're not challenged, they're going to grow stale, they'll get bored, they'll go somewhere else. And this is how they should make your clients feel. Your clients should always feel supported and challenged. That's what keeps them coming back. And that starts at the top. That starts with you. So if you can keep your team supported and challenged, they're going to keep your clients supported and challenged. Everybody's going to stay around for a whole lot longer. Thoughts? So one of the reasons that I love a brand like Walla is because of like all of the cool features you have. You have the ability to track customer trends and behavior. You can tag clients. You have like the archetype thing, right? What do you call that? What's like the name?
Personality typology.
Personality, yeah. So you know how to communicate and serve people and really see where and how and when instructors are excelling, and then you can start to see where things aren't going so well. But it's really, really difficult to fix something if you don't have a handbook for how it's supposed to work in the first place, right? So you can get all the tools for the business that you want, right? You can use all the tech, all the AI, all the software, but like if you're the one who decides how your business works, and if you don't have that set up, then you're just constantly be chasing like all of these things, right?
Yeah.
This is where I come in. I help studio owners create systems for recruiting, onboarding, training, and retaining top talent, create guidelines to elevate and deliver a consistent quality experience that attracts and retains your dream clients and gives you the tools and resources to lead your team to excellence. I help my clients doing this by building out what I call the playbook, which is systems for instructor training and experience design. So some of the tools that come in the playbook are your onboarding SOPs, right? Where do you look first? So somebody said, we go to our clients first, right? To get over the hurdle. Okay. How do you do that? When and where do you approach them? What are you looking for in those members? Like what signals to you that that's going to be somebody that you feel is going to be right for your brand, right? And how do you communicate back and forth that like you're on the same page? There's nothing worse than investing in somebody for like weeks and months, and you're like, we just do not share the same world view, or our like personalities clash, right? It's like absolute worst. Right. So like, where do you find them? And you write this in an SOP so that why? So that you don't have to be the person that does it every time. So that you can trust your studio manager or a lead instructor or somebody, or a recruit. I was a recruiter for a brand. I've been a recruiter for many things. I was in theater a long time ago. I traveled the country for a school recruiting students for a conservatory. And then I did it for Flywheel for a really long time in some other brands. I hate recruiting. It's my least favorite part of the job, but I'm good at it because people have given me very clear systems, and it's very, very easy to do when you know exactly what you're looking for. It is so hard to do when you're uncertain. It is so hard. I've been there hundreds and hundreds of times. Right. Developing a signature format. That does not mean like a cookie cutter, everybody teaches the same thing. It just means how do we provide this experience here? What are the touch points? What are the things that make us a Nike, right? No matter what type of class or type of instructor that you're going, that the client is going to, setting instructor and staff expectations, their roles, their responsibilities, what's required of them when they step in the studio, right? What kind of energy are they bringing into the room, and what are the things that they actually have to do? And then creating that structured instructor team training. So like really looking at the cadence and the duration and like what needs to happen to get people up to a level where you feel really confident that they're executing your brand vision. What does ongoing development and support look like? So like I said before, like, is it monthly meetings? Is it quarterly brush ups? Is it like a weekly email newsletter? Like what does it look like? Like, how can you set aside money to invest in having an expert come in and talk to your team, like just to like inspire them and give them a fresh perspective or like a new tool? Somebody like me, I go into studios all the time and I teach workshops on the weekends. And there's lots of people like me that do that. And then implementing performance reviews. How many of you have conducted formal or informal performance reviews? Me or not yet?
Yeah. And if you guys, with Walla for instructors, at least, you guys can absolutely use the teacher ranking dashboard for this. So you have benchmarks and you know what your average is across the studio. You know what your top performing teachers are doing versus the ones that are struggling. So there's a really clear black and white way to do performance reviews with that data. And it makes it easier when it's not a, well, I feel like this is happening conversation.
That's right. Okay. Me, not yet. Great. If you're somebody that does performance reviews, like just drop it in the chat so other people get an idea. How often do you do those? Quarterly, once a year, end of year? I have an instructor performance review template and guide. I will send it to Laura after this.
Oh, awesome.
It's customizable, and I give you all the high level tips to do it. Honestly, if you've done nothing else, that would be a great tool to start with, because you can start with looking at what's actually happening. So you can go into those metrics, right, on the back end, and you can go to your client reviews and you can see what's going on, and then you can actually step into the studio and then take a second and like sit with yourself. So like now you know what to look for. When you have all of these things in your playbook, you know exactly what to look for. And some questions to ask yourself, if you don't know, are what's your purpose? What's the purpose of your brand? How do you make it happen? What do you need to do it well? How do you know it's working well? And what do you do to troubleshoot? Right? What do you expect your clients to say about class? How do you want them to feel about the workout, the experience, and the instructor? So like really ask yourself some of these questions. Even if you know them, if you haven't asked them in a really long time, like as the owner, as the leader, you should be touching on this like every few months, right? Are we doing this? How do I want them to feel? You know, new data comes in, new ideas come in, like your brand evolves just like we do. Sometimes it changes a little bit. So like constantly asking yourself, like, you know, once you get more data, like, is this what we want? Or like, can we do a shift? And like, then go back to the foundation and go, okay, what is the next clear step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So helpful just to know where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really hard when the just better is what a lot of people will say, right? Like, I just want to get better, but having somewhere you're shooting for, at least a common thread, like you talked about from the beginning.
So if you think about everybody in your studio is like, if you are somebody who's just hired really great instructors and you're kind of letting them do their own thing, and then you go and you look at those metrics, this is what I mean when I said they don't mean very much, right? Now you're just basing on like subjective opinion, right? Like, oh, the clients don't like this class. Maybe they're in the wrong time slot. Maybe they're too hard. But like, there's no guidelines for like what an excellent workout experience is in your studio. And if everybody's doing something so different, you have no idea where to go. You're just giving them feedback. And I work with both the studio owner and the instructors. I have a conservatory for fitness professionals, and I've been one for many years. So like I'm an advocate for the instructor. I don't ever want them to feel like they're in a box. I want them to feel supported. I want them to be paid well. I want them to be taken care of. But then, you know, I work with the business owner, and I understand the challenges. I'm also a business owner of running a business and having a team, right? So you've got to find a way to bridge that gap. And these systems really are the way to do that. It takes the emotion out of it, right? You don't have to feel bad for giving feedback. It's like, hey, I just want to go back to like our standards and guidelines. And these are the things that we know create a high quality experience, and you're not doing them, right? And so it's not like you're a bad instructor, you're a bad person. This is just an area that we need to pay attention to, right? And we need to up level. And then they feel more open to that feedback because they know if they get it and they get the support they need, they'll be more successful and they'll be more loyal to you, and they'll stick around, right? And then you don't feel like a jerk because you're always telling everybody like how to do the thing, right? Which I know is like a common fear and insecurity. I've got a couple more things here super quick. Some common fears that I just feel like you can tell me if this resonates with you. What if I invest all this time into my team and they take everything I gave them and they go somewhere else? And then I would ask the question back to you. Do you want to be known as the place where instructors get bored, burn out, or stale and move on to the next shiny opportunity? Or do you want to be known as a place that cultivates growth and excellence and instructors that are so masterful and inspired by the work that you've done together and the support that you've given them that they only move on because they've outgrown your container and now they want to follow in your footsteps and make an impact on their community in their own way?
Yep.
Right? What's your legacy? What do you want people to say about you? because it's going to be one or the other. People will leave because they're bored and stale, or somebody's going to pay them more money, or they're going to leave because you've literally given them, you have that strategy to success. And maybe there isn't like a leadership role open at this particular time, but they can take it somewhere else, and they got there because of you. And what they're going to do is tell every single person they know, just like I talked about Intercontinental, how wonderful it was to work there. And they're going to send you your next top tier talent. They're going to do it for you. You have a recruiter out there. You've like built an army. If you invest in them, they will stay longer than if you don't. The second common fear that I hear is, I don't want to be like Core Power, right? Because we heard that like the yoga community, it's like, I want my instructors to have freedom. I don't want a cookie cutter format. I get it. You don't want to be corporate. It's why you started your own business. You don't want to be cookie cutter, and you don't have to be. Whatever you think about a brand like Core Power, and I'm just using that as an example, it's a very successful business with multiple locations because they have guidelines and systems in place to train up instructors to deliver a consistent and reliable, trustworthy experience, right? My heart lies in the boutique studios. Like I said, I've worked at like these national brands, multiple locations. I've managed 11 locations at one time. And then I've worked at like these like very small studios. I've done both. Sometimes in the same city, I've worked at both, right? My heart lies with the boutiques because I feel like I have a direct line to my leader. I'm going to come off of the share here. So I love feeling like I know the owner and I have a relationship with them. I love feeling like I'm helping them live their vision. I love supporting small local businesses. Most of them are female owned. I love that too. And really feeling like you're a part of something and feeling like you have a voice. Whereas in the bigger one, it's like your boss is maybe kind of feels like somebody behind the curtain pulling strings. You don't have a direct line to them. It takes a really long time to like, initiate any kind of change that you see might be helpful. It's got to go like way up the chain. And there's like things that like you have to do a certain way. But I will say I have always felt the most successful and the most confident at the bigger corporate brands. Why? Because there is a very clear vision. There's a very clear way to do things. And it frees up, as an instructor, it frees up my time. I don't have to spend hours obsessing over my programming, obsessing over my playlist, pouring my heart and soul into it, and then wondering like, are they going to like it? Is my boss going to like it? Is this the right thing? Oh, I'll try it differently next week, and constantly trying to outdo myself. It's like I could just show up. And now I can spend more time connecting and resonating with clients. I can spend more time on my persona and how I fill up the room. I can spend more time playing. I can be creative with the pieces that are given to me. Another common fear, the last one, is I don't want to stifle my instructor's creativity, right? And I said this at the beginning, particularly the instructor owners, right? You went off and did your own thing because you didn't want anybody to tell you what to do. Right? Yeah. You want to be the leader, but a leader needs to lead people. And there are people that want leaders. They want to be led. And those instructors that come to you for a job are coming to you for a job. They want to teach at your studio because they see you as a leader and they expect you to lead them. Otherwise, they'd be doing what you're doing and they would be your competition, but they're not, right? So we can't get confused. You cannot think outside of the box without a box. You have to give them a box to play in. Good structure allows for great freedom and play. Like otherwise it's just chaos. It's just like a mess, right?
I have a great example of that I think would be helpful just for like a something you could take today idea. I had a client when I was doing consulting who was really big on wanting to have the common thread through the brand. And I love what you said, having an instructor newsletter. Like your instructors are almost like your clients in a certain way. Like it is your job to be informing them, continually selling them on your vision and your brand and why they should be with you. But one of the things this client had was a monthly newsletter that talked about, this was a few location yoga studio, what the pose, essentially the asana of the month was, or the move of the month. And so everybody was able to use their creativity to incorporate that, but you had to teach that specific asana in every class that month. So people could feel, and it was very much ground up. So start on the basics, but you take your method of developing and teaching that, but there's going to be a connected thread in every class in our studio over the next month, no matter if it's a yin class or a hot whatever, somebody is going to be doing, bridge pose.
This
and
peak pose is
exactly, and it didn't even have to be like a crazy hard pose, but there was going to be a consistent thread, and it was discussed. And so the clients had a way to feel like they were progressing. It was consistent across all the teachers, even though the teachers had their own way of doing it. There was creativity allowed, but like you said, there's the box. The box was there. And then that brand also always had, they closed the class with the same, like, today, I hope you have a moment to pause, to breathe, and to smile at a stranger. That was like the way they ended every single class.
Yeah.
And so every class was quite different, but there was always something connected. So I think just finding those little bits and pieces are exactly what you're talking about, the common thread that ties people in.
Yeah. Some takeaways are like, how do we begin class? Like, what are the expectations? That can be it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. Music is always playing in the studio before a client walks in. That is an expectation we want to see across the board, right? Very, very simple. There's an intro, and in the intro, these 3 things must be touched on. Right? You have a theme for the week or the month, and that needs to be incorporated in your own way. Perhaps it happens at a certain point in the class that clients become to look forward to and expect. How do you end the class? What are some things that do not happen at this studio that maybe you've seen happening at other studios because it doesn't tie in with our philosophy? It's not really great for our clients. We serve them in a different way. And what are the things that we need to see all of the time? Right. So even if you have independent contractors, so this is like one of the other fears, it's like, how do I train everybody if they're independent contractor? They're still working for your brand. And any instructor worth their salt is going to want guidance from you, right? This is somebody who's taught in many, many countries for many, many people and has been the leader. If I walk into your studio, you better tell me what you want from me. Otherwise, I'm going to make it up and you might not like it. And then I won't be successful and I'm out of work, right? So there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, you've got your thing. I see you. I brought you on because we share this point of view and these values. Here are some things that I need to see all of the time. And if they can't do that, you need to go find somebody else. They can start their own business, right? It's like you're still working at a brand, like even if you're independent contractors, right? Awesome. So last thing before we go, and I want to be conscious of everybody's time. I know we ran over. I told Laura yesterday, I was like, my presentation's only 25 minutes, but I really like talking to people and I might ask a lot of questions. Okay, so like this comes back to your playbook. Everybody who's on this call, whether you're here live or you're watching the replay at sometime in the future, you can book a free strategy session with me. And together we can audit your current systems. We can design a customized playbook that meets your needs. Whether or not we work together, I promise you will walk away with at least 1, maybe 5 things that you need to do like the next day to get this started. Yeah. How we can work together. I do custom systems build out. So for those of you who are like, I don't have this yet, I do everything for you. We do 6 to 8 hourly sessions, and there is a range there. It depends on how many modalities you have or how many class offerings you have. But we get on the phone for 6 to 8 hours over a number of weeks. And I do a lot of the writing on the back end, and we work on a shared platform, and I give you some homework, and you have everything that you need by the end of those 8 hours. I also offer a systems upgrade. So like you already have this, but you just want like a refresh or you want some guidance, you want to make it better. This actually happens a lot. I've run 3 or 4 trainings, but like I'm not getting the quality out of the instructors that I need. We can do what I call a VIP day where we sit on the phone for 3 to 4 hours and I extract everything out of your brain. I go away, I work on it for another couple of hours. And then we like touch base to make sure that you have everything you need, or we can meet like 3 separate times. And then I also do what I call a playbook huddle. So this is group work. It's over the course of 5 weeks. It's 1 call every week. I only offer this when my one-on-ones fill up. So I know there's 100 people on this call. I can only work with 4 people one-on-one per month. It's a lot of work. I cannot do more than that. So if I get more interest, I'll keep you on a list and I'll let you know when the next huddle is. And this is a very low cost way to just, and a cool way, if you like working in groups with other people, to get all of the work done, but I'll direct you. You'll do most of the writing. So the first 2, I do most of the work for you. I just pull everything out of your brain. The second one, I invite you to pull it out of your own brain and I guide you through writing it yourself. If that makes sense. I am here for questions.
Yeah, we have to wrap pretty quickly here, but here's the thing. They have unbelievable resources for you that you can follow them on social and get all of that. We will be sending out an email after this event with the recording, but then also Shay will follow up with, actually, Shay, I'll just give you everybody's contact info for the document that you were mentioning, that you said you would send over.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do that.
Yeah, so we can share that with everyone that's here. But thank you guys all for being here with us today. Hopefully you can take a nugget or 2 out of this and actually make some change in the business today. And stay tuned for our dates for the next couple Walla webinar series. We'll be digging into the software and taking really practical application steps to make it work for your studios. Shay, thank you so, so much. Everyone who joined us, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time and your energy in the chat and contributing to the conversation. It's so nice to be here with you guys today.
And for those of you watching on replay, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at hello@hellowalla.com, and Shay will be sending her contact information along as well. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.